Imagine an American family in suburban Ohio on a weekend. They are facing a significant choice: buy an all-electric Ford F-150 Lightning or a traditional gasoline-powered F-150. A few years ago, this choice might have seemed clearer. Generous federal tax credits made the electric vehicle appealing, promising a greener future and lower operating costs. But now, things are different. The tax credits for electric vehicles have been eliminated. At the same time, the price of gasoline has trended slightly downward. This family's decision is no longer a matter of personal preference. It has become an economic calculation dominated by a powerful political force from Washington: President Donald Trump's big and beautiful bill, which has just been introduced for consideration in Congress. The choice of the family in Ohio is just a small microcosm, reflecting a colossal ideological confrontation that is reshaping the entire American economy. This bill is not just a legal document, it is a manifesto of Mr. Trump's vision for America. In today's analysis, we will dissect this gamble together. First, what does this bill actually contain? Second, who will be smiling as they reap the benefits, and who will pay the price? Finally, if it passes, how will the economic and social fabric of America change? Decoding the Big and Beautiful Bill. The Big and Beautiful Bill, true to its name, is an ambitious, sweeping, and controversial policy package. It is built on three main pillars, clearly reflecting the America First philosophy. Pillar 1. The America First tax overhaul. The centerpiece of the bill is a massive corporate tax cut, bringing the tax rate to its lowest level in decades. The stated goal is to encourage American corporations to repatriate profits and invest more heavily in domestic production. Pillar 2. The bonfire of regulations. The bill proposes to abolish a host of environmental regulations enacted under previous administrations. Emission standards for vehicles, restrictions on oil drilling and coal mining, and rules protecting water sources are all targeted. The White House argues this will unleash the economy's energy, but critics fear it is touting the benefits while ignoring the long-term negative impacts. Pillar 3. The protective wall of tariffs. This is the most internationally controversial part. The bill proposes imposing a minimum universal tariff on all imported goods, with particularly high punitive tariffs aimed at countries deemed to have unfair trade practices, especially China. In essence, this is an effort to reshape the American economy by aggressively prioritizing traditional industries and protecting the domestic market. The winners and losers. Who benefits, who doesn't? The winners. First and foremost, the traditional energy sector. Oil, coal, and natural gas corporations are the biggest beneficiaries. The removal of environmental regulations and the encouragement of fossil fuel production will help them reduce costs and expand operations. Second, corporations and high-income earners. This is the largest and most obvious group of beneficiaries. With $4 trillion in tax cuts, especially the permanent extension of the 2017 tax rates, the wealthy and corporate shareholders will see their wealth increase significantly. This is a consolidation and expansion of the benefits they had already received. Third, service industry workers who receive tips. The elimination of taxes on tips is a populist move that directly benefits millions of waiters, barbers, drivers, and others, helping them keep more of their earnings. This is a crucial political selling point for the bill. Fourth, supporters of tough border security and a strong military. With $350 billion allocated for border and national security, including funding for deporting immigrants, the bill directly meets the demands of this core voter base. As Senator Graham said, "It's a big and beautiful bill if you believe in securing the border, building a strong military." The losers. First, low-income individuals and vulnerable families. This group bears the heaviest burden. Deep cuts to Medicaid and food stamp programs through tightened standards and work requirements will push millions into difficult situations. The Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, paints a grim picture. 11.8 million Americans would lose their health insurance by 2034. They lose their social safety net while receiving almost no benefit from the large-scale tax cuts. Second, the renewable energy industry and the future of green technology. The cancellation of billions of dollars in tax credits for green energy is a severe blow to this industry. It not only slows down America's energy transition, but also reduces the competitiveness of American companies in the global green technology race. Third, future generations. This bill is a form of borrowing from the future to spend today. According to the CBO, it will increase the budget deficit by $3.3 trillion over a decade. This public debt burden will be shouldered by future generations, possibly through later cuts to public services or tax increases. Fourth, hospitals and healthcare providers. With nearly 12 million people losing insurance, hospitals, especially in rural and low-income areas, will face the burden of uncompensated care costs from patients unable to pay, putting severe financial pressure on the healthcare system. Fifth, the environment and future generations. The repeal of environmental protection regulations will lead to higher levels of air and water pollution, accelerating the impacts of climate change. How would the U.S. economy change if the bill passed? If this big and beautiful gamble becomes law, the U.S. economy will enter a risky period of transformation. Short-term impact, a sugar rush. The economy might see a short-term boom. Tax cuts and deregulation could boost business investment, create jobs in certain sectors, and drive GDP growth for a few quarters. The stock market would likely react positively at first. This is the sugar rush effect the administration is hoping for. Long-term risks, isolation and imbalance. Risk of inflation and trade wars. Tariffs will increase the price of goods, pushing inflation higher and potentially forcing the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates, slowing the economy. Retaliatory trade wars would disrupt global trade flows, harming both the U.S. and its partners. Soaring public debt. Massive tax cuts without corresponding revenue streams will cause the U.S. budget deficit and public debt to skyrocket to alarming levels. Falling behind in the green tech race. While the world is shifting aggressively toward clean energy, subsidizing fossil fuels could cause the U.S. to fall behind in the industries of the future, losing its long-term competitive edge. Rising inequality. The benefits of tax cuts are primarily concentrated among business owners and wealthy shareholders, while the burden of increased living costs falls on the middle class and low-income earners. Ladies and gentlemen, the big and beautiful bill is more than just an economic policy. It is a bold wager, trading global integration and long-term environmental goals for a short-term growth spurt for America's traditional industries. It may create very clear winners in a few sectors, but it also creates more numerous losers and structural risks for the entire economy. Its passage would push the United States down a path distinctly different from the rest of the world. The future will tell whether this is a big and beautiful gamble, as its name suggests, or a historic mistake. Please leave your comments in the section below. For now, Mr. Know-It-All says goodbye, and see you in the next analysis.